Hi, now we'll be starting your tax invoice and your credit and debit note. Tax invoice is primarily covered in your section 31, whereas your debit and credit notes are covered in section number 34. So let's start with tax invoices. So tax invoice is a document which every dealer needs to issue at the time of its sale. So whenever you must have gone to buy something, obviously you must have got an invoice copy. That invoice copy must have indicated the GST amount that is payable, and therefore we call it as a tax invoice. So the tax invoice has to be in a specific format. It should contain certain specific details as given in the rules, like for example the GSTN number, the place of supply, the name of the dealers, the quantity, the code of the goods or the service that are being supplied, etc. So tax invoice is a very primary and important compliance to be done. Now section 31 covers the information with respect to tax invoice. First one, they are saying time limit to issue the tax invoice in case of supply of goods. So let's take an example, practical example, that we go in a shop to buy goods. When does the dealer issue the invoice to us? Obviously it is going to be issued at the time when he delivers the goods to us. So the registered supplier, shall before or at the time of removal of goods, where the supply involves movement of goods, and where it doesn't involve movement of goods, that is in any other case, at the time of delivery of goods. So let's take an example. This is talking about your over-the-counter sales. Counter sale. For example, I go in a shop to buy. There is no movement of goods involved because I am standing right there. So the goods will be delivered to me, and that is the time when the invoice should be made. So any registered dealer shall before or at the time of delivery of the goods issue the tax invoice. However, if movement of goods are involved, so let's say how can movement of goods be involved? So let's say I am from Maharashtra, the recipient is from Maharashtra, and let's say the supplier of goods is from Goa. So he is going to supply the goods. So there is going to be a transportation of goods, movement of goods are going to be involved. So let's see when the tax invoice should be issued. They are saying right here, when the goods have been removed for delivery. So at the time of removal of goods, the tax invoice should be made where the supply involves movement of goods. Now all this is covered in your time of supply chapters. All these topics are covered. So it's just like a brush up now. Let's move ahead. Now tax invoice in case of supply of services. So let's say now the time of issuance in case of services. So a registered person supplying taxable services shall before or after provision of supply issue the tax invoice showing all the details. So it is before the supply or after. For example, let's take an example of before the provision of service. It's like a prepaid thing. So let's say when you book a movie ticket or you've joined the coaching classes, you make the full payment and then the services will be given. You buy the movie ticket and then the movie will be shown to you. So before the provision of the service, you are making the payment. Now when I talk of after provision, so only when you go to a restaurant, you eat, you have your dinner, and then in the end you make the payment and then the invoice is issued. So even in case when you go for a restaurant to a dinner, you know that the tax invoice is issued after the provision of service. So here they are saying issuance of invoice can be before or even after the provision of service. This is in your section 31 subsection 2. Coming to section 31 subsection 3, which is a very unique scenario or very specific case. It is talking when GST came into force. That is the date of implementation of GST. So let's say GST came into force in 2017, 1st July 2017. Now moment GST came into force and I am liable to register, there would be a time gap between me, GST applying on me and me getting the registration certificate. So it is possible, let's say 1st July 2017 is the implementation date of the GST, let's assume that, and the registration certificate, maybe it took time for me to apply, etc., was issued on 1/8/2017. So during this time, here I am liable to register, let's say I was liable to register under GST. I made the application, now there is a delay from the government end. So during this time, I will issue, now can I collect the GST or no? What do you think? GST is applicable to me, but till the time I get my registration certificate, am I liable to pay GST? Answer is yes, because I am liable to pay. I should be collecting GST, but I can't issue a taxable invoice because I don't have the GSTN number. I don't have the GST certificate. Then what do? So what happens to all my suppliers, to all my purchasers? I will tell them, see, right now I'm issuing you a kacha bill. I'm issuing you a draft bill, a temporary bill. Once I get the GSTN number, I will issue you a revised invoice indicating the GST as well. So this has to be done within 1 month of the date of registration. So this is covering a specific scenario where you are the GST has been implemented, but the registration certificate is not yet issued. Till that time, you will issue a draft bill, and once the certificate is issued, within 1 month of that time, you will have to start launching the proper tax invoices. So you will start doing a backward dated, you would start making the GST invoices. So let's see, a registered person, let's read it out, may within 1 month from the date of registration certificate issue revised tax invoices. The law is allowing that against the invoices already issued during the period beginning with the effective date till the date of issuance of certificate of registration to him. This applies to all the invoices made between the implementation and the registration certificate is issued. Dealer must issue a revised invoice against the invoice already issued. The revised invoice is to be issued within 1 month from the date of the registration certificate. So very simple provision, but not very important. Moving ahead, where the amount is very small. Okay, let's say if you're going to buy in a small little chocolate, you think invoice needs to be issued. The cost of the paper might be more. So a registered person may not issue a tax invoice if the value of supply is less than rupees 200. So if it is less than rupees 200, tax invoice need not be issued, not required. Coming to the next part, which is about your bill of supply. You can mark it as super important from exam point of view as well. Okay. Now, what is a bill of supply? Now let's say, are all goods taxable? Yes or no? Are all goods taxable? No, there can be some goods called as exempted goods. So tell me one thing, in exempted goods, can I issue a tax invoice? जब टैक्स ही नहीं है तो टैक्स इनवॉइस कैसे इशू करूंगा? तो क्या मैं टैक्स इनवॉइस इशू कर सकता हूं? क्या मैं टैक्स इनवॉइस इशू कर सकता हूं? कॉमन सेंस नो, बिकॉज टैक्स इज ओनली नॉट देयर, इट इज exempted. So I will have to issue a different kind of an invoice. It will be called as a bill of supply. So bill of supply is issued in case of exempted goods. A registered person supplying exempted goods shall issue, instead of a tax invoice, a bill of supply. Even another scenario where you need to issue a tax invoice, a bill of supply, is for composition dealers. Composition dealers again cannot issue taxable invoices. They cannot collect tax from the customers. Now for this you'll have to refer to section number 10, but right now just remember, composition dealers cannot issue taxable invoices, and therefore they will issue something called as a bill of supply. I hope that is clear. Moving ahead, when it is not required to issue taxable invoice, a registered dealer might not be required to issue bill of supply also if the goods and the value of supply is less than rupees 200. So if 200, no GST compliances with respect to invoice. Reasons for issue of bill of supply, I told you, he cannot issue taxable invoice. That is why cannot charge tax, and therefore they will have to issue some document. That document will be called as bill of supply. Market is important, it can come in your exam. Then comes the receipt payment. Now near receipt payment, just write the word advance payment. Advance payment. So when goods are going to be supplied, but advances of payment has already been made. So many times we give a token amount, we give a, they call it as a moving fees, initiation fees, etc. Advance has been given. So when an advance is given, again a format is there for a advance payment voucher called as a receipt voucher. The supplier will say, I have received advance payment. That is all. So a registered person shall, on receipt of advance payment, issue an invoice called as a receipt invoice. Okay, so let's say they have given an example. Mr. A has entered into a contract with B to supply services worth rupees 20 lakhs. GST is this much. Advance of 10 lakhs is given by the person A. As advance is received by A, he will have to issue a receipt voucher of rupees 10 lakhs. Simple. Now coming to refund voucher. This is to be read with advance payment. So let's say if advance payment was made, which document would you issue? अभी हम लोग ने जस्ट किया, एडवांस पेमेंट के लिए कौन सा डॉक्यूमेंट इशू करना पड़ता है सप्लायर्स को? कॉल्ड एज अ, एडवांस करोगे तो बाजू वाला क्या होगा, उसको क्या मिलेगा? इट्स कॉल्ड एज अ रिसीट, कि उसको मिल गया है रिसीट वाउचर. नाउ सोचो ये एडवांस पेमेंट कर दिया और आई वाज सपोज टू सेंड द गुड्स टू यू. एडवांस पेमेंट हैज बीन रिसीव्ड बाय मी and I have to make some advance payment to you. I have to supply the goods. Now for some reason I could not make the goods or services, I could not give to you. But you've already given me the money and goods or services I couldn't give to you. So what do I have to do? Can I keep your money? Would you give me that money? I say you gave me the advance. I can't give you the goods and services. Now what will happen? Common sense, I will have to refund the money. When I refund, a voucher will be issued called as refund voucher. कि आपने एडवांस दिया उसका प्रूफ है, मैंने रिफंड दिया उसका भी तो प्रूफ चाहिए. So where on receipt of advance payment, any supply of goods or services or both, we issue receipt vouchers on advance payment. But subsequently when there is no supply made, in pursuance thereof, pursuant to that we didn't receive anything, the said registered person may issue to the person who has made the advance payment a refund voucher against such payment. So we'll have to issue a refund voucher that I have made the refund to you. Again, super simple. Now your self invoicing is there to be read with payment voucher. So what all have we done? Can you tell me for exempt supplies and composition dealers which document is issued? It is called as bill of supply. For advance payment, what is issued? A receipt voucher. When the advance was given and the goods could not be provided, then which voucher is to be issued? Called as a refund voucher. Now we are coming to something different altogether, which is called as a payment voucher. पेमेंट वाउचर, तो मैं पेमेंट कर रहा हूं ना, तो मैं वाउचर इश्यू कर रहा हूं. अब ये आता है इन केस ऑफ रिवर्स चार्ज मैकेनिज्म. यू कैन राइट इट डाउन, RCM, reverse charge mechanism. Let's understand what is this. Let's say there is a supplier and there is a recipient. So this guy supplies the goods and services. Who will make the payment? Supplier is giving the goods and services. In return, the recipient is required to pay the good money. So he will pay the value. Who pays the GST amount? So in case of normal or forward charge, the recipient will pay to the supplier and then the supplier is to pay to the government. Now what happens, this is called as reverse charge. In reverse charge what happens, only the value amount is given to the supplier and to the government the recipient will come and pay the GST amount. When the recipient is liable, so what is reverse charge? When recipient is liable to pay GST, okay, liable under GST, then we call it as reverse charge mechanism. If supplier is liable, it is called as forward charge. अब लॉजिक देखो, अगर सप्लायर जीएसटी कलेक्ट करेगा तो सप्लायर को बोलेंगे आप पे करो. So we will tell all the compliances will be on the supplier, but in case of certain cases we tell the recipient should be liable. Now what all cases government has issued a kind of a notification that you can check in your section 9 subsection 4 and 5. Now coming to reverse charge mechanism. In reverse charge, now pay attention, okay? If you don't know what is reverse charge mechanism, please go to section number 9 subsection 4 and 5. Right now I'm assuming you know what is RCM and you know that in RCM the recipient is completely liable. So I'll just move ahead quickly. Now the recipient is liable to pay the GST to the government and he pays the value of the amount to the supplier. The suppliers generally are these small kind of people who do not have any compliances in place. That is why we are telling the recipient to pay the GST to the government. Now when the supplier is a small guy, so he might not even be registered under GST. So in that cases, because unregistered dealers के ऊपर भी apply होता है ये सब, तो ये लोग तो registered ही नहीं है, तो ये लोग tax invoice कैसे issue करेंगे? So generally when they make the payment, everything even about the tax invoice, it is on the recipient only to issue, not on the supplier. Every compliance is to be done by the recipient only. So the recipient will do something called as self invoicing. क्या बोलेंगे इसको? Self invoicing. मैं पेमेंट कर रहा हूँ और मैं ही इनवॉइस इशू कर रहा हूँ, तो ये कॉन्सेप्ट को क्या बोलने का? सेल्फ इनवॉइसिंग. इन केस ऑफ आरसीएम, हु इश्यूज इनवॉइस? Recipient only. So recipient will issue a invoice called as a payment voucher. What it is called? Payment voucher. यहां तक समझ में आया? तो मैं अगर आरसीएम में फॉलो हो रहा हूं ना, तो मैं तुमको पेमेंट करूंगा, मैं ही तुमको इनवॉइस इशू करूंगा, कॉल्ड एज अ पेमेंट वाउचर, कि मैंने पेमेंट कर दिया है. यहां तक क्लियर? नॉर्मल केसेस में उल्टा रहता था. नॉर्मल केसेस में सप्लायर लायबल था, सप्लायर इनवॉइस इशू करता था और सप्लायर के ऊपर ही भी सब कंप्लायंसेस होते थे. यहाँ पे उल्टा है, पेमेंट भी मैं कर रहा हूँ, इनवॉइस भी मैं इशू कर रहा हूँ. तो पेमेंट वाउचर का फॉर्मेट दिया है in your rule number 52 also. Okay, so section 9 subsection RCM is under section 9 subsection 3 and 4. You can check it out. Okay, so I just stand corrected. So section 9 subsection 3 and 4. Issue a payment voucher at the time of making payment to the supplier. Again, a registered person who is liable to pay tax under RCM, that is the recipient, shall make a payment, issue a payment voucher at the time of making the payment to the supplier. Now we'll be seeing your section 31 subsection 4, which says time limit to issue invoices in case of continuous supply of goods. Section 31 subsection 4 talks about continuous supply of goods, whereas section 31 subsection 5 talks about time limit to issue invoices in case of continuous supply of services. So this is about goods and this is about services. Now what do you mean by continuous supply of goods or services? Continuous supply of goods or services simply means where there is a constant, continuous, recurring contract that is there where goods or services will be supplied. For example, if I say you must have very well have your internet connection with you. So let's say if you have your internet connection, right? So in this internet connection is going to give you for 1 month or continuously for more than 3 months. So if it is for greater than 3 months, if the supply is for greater than 3 months, then we can say it is the continuous supply of goods or services. Not only your internet connection, but your telephone line, or sometimes even your gym services, because the gym is generally for more than 3 months that you enroll yourself for, and you get the services of gymming. If another you want to see your continuous supply of services, you could see maybe classes, coaching classes, or maybe a colleges which go in for multiple months together. So all of this is treated as continuous supply of services. Your supply is not going to stop immediately after one time. It is going to be recurring basis. Now when I say a continuous supply of goods, so it is possible that a builder, a person who's going to set up a building, he might have a contract with the suppliers to supply certain bricks, cement, etc. for more than 3 months. Here the timeline is not given for 3 months or so. It's simply said where there is a recurring contract of providing goods. Here sometimes after a certain time period they can issue you certain statements, like maybe we can say that we can settle the accounts every monthly. On monthly basis we can settle this, or on bi-monthly basis we can settle it, etc. Okay, now what is the time limit to issue this? Because it is going to continuously be supplied. So when do you issue the invoice? Will you wait for 1 year? So let's see. Situation when successive statements of accounts will be issued. So let's say every month by 5th we are going to issue the statements. So the invoice is to be issued when each such statement is issued. So common sense, if we've decided that the due date will be 5th, by the 5th the invoice should be made. But let's say when successive payments are involved, let's say if I have an auto debit facility and by 5th automatically the debit will be done. So when each such payment is made or the invoice is issued, whichever is there, whichever the case is, the invoice should be issued by that time. That is the last day to issue the invoice. Now it is also possible in case of, let's say, a office could have a contract to have certain water tanks or water continuously be provided to them. Okay, so they don't pay continuously. They tell them that you refill it and then give us, we'll settle it on a certain, maybe a certain date, or maybe we can have an auto debit where you have successive payments. Okay, so this is A and B. Then coming next to, in case of services, when do you do that? So in services where the due date of payment is ascertainable. So if the due date of payment is given, generally, which is the case, the last day to issue the invoice is the date of due date. But if the payment due date is not given, where the due date is not ascertainable, you don't have a specific due date in the contract, then when the supplier makes the payment. So if the due date is there, then we take the due date, or we go as the payment is received. Okay, and if it is related to completion of an event, for example, you could have a event management company which says that after we finish this event, then we will pay you. So then once the event is completed, that is when the last day of issuing an invoice. For example, a company can hire an event management company to handle its annual general meeting, and they can say that after the annual general meeting is over, we will issue you the invoice. That is the last day to issue the invoice. Then we come last day to issue the invoice when the supply ceases in between. So let's say we had a contract which went on for a certain time period, but in between only we cancel the contract. So let's say there is a publisher and there is a writer. A writer was supposed to be paid rupees 1 lakh for each write-up. Okay, for 1 lakh for each write-up, and he was supposed to give 5 such write-ups. Now after 2 write-ups only, he gave 2 write-ups, and we realized that we don't want to move ahead with this person. We don't want the other 3 from him. So we will give a notice and we will say that we are terminating the contract. We have to make a payment of only the 2 write-ups that he has done, and for the 3, since we are not taking it, we are stopping it in between, we are seizing the supply in between, we will not do. नाउ क्वेश्चन कम्स अप कि ये दो का कब इशू करना है. And even in your contract act, you remember there is a terminology which says that pay as much as been earned. Okay, तो जितना उसने कर लिया है काम उतना तो पेमेंट कर दो, बाकी का मत दो. तो ये जो भी है pay as much has been earned. So let's see what is the last day to issue the invoice then. The invoices should be issued at the time when the supply ceases, and such invoice should be to the extent of the supply made. तो जितना 2 invoices का बनेगा और जब terminate किया था तब last date है issue invoice करने का. Then coming to when the goods have been sent for approval basis. For example, the goods has been dispatched to you, and once you give the consent, then we'll assume that the supply is made. Otherwise supply नहीं है. तो कभी कभार हम लोग बोलते हैं आप माल देख लो, आप check कर लो goods, you see, you approve it. If you approve, then the supply is made. Otherwise, it is not. Now, what is the last day to issue the invoice in this case? So the government is ready to wait for 6 months. I gave the goods to you. You have to tell that you are approving or not approving. But if for 6 months it is with you without any approval or disapproval, then and you still kept the goods, so it is deemed that the goods have been approved on that day. So let's see what is the last date. So the last date to issue the invoice shall be issued before or at the time of supply. So moment he has given his approval, तो supply हो गया, तो it will be before or at the time of supply. So when the goods have been sent on approval basis to you, supply हुआ क्या? No, supply is when you approve it. So moment you have approved it, we will say that supply हो गया, time of supply हो गया, and the invoice should be issued before or at the time of supply. Or if I have given the goods to you and for a lot of time you're not giving your approval or disapproval, so the government is not going to wait for you to approve indefinitely. We say within 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. तो अगर approval जल्दी आ गया तो वो होगा date of last day to issue the invoice, or 6 months. So approval might have come after 8 months. So we will consider that the last day to issue the invoice is 6 months from the date of dispatch, because it is deemed that there has been a sale. Okay, so these are the details. And then they've brought in section 31A, which is a newly inserted section, which they are saying that they will facility of digital payment will be introduced, and the council, GST council, will provide for certain methods of digital payment to the recipient. And that is it.